I never thought a marriage could start falling apart because of a single message. But on a rainy Thursday evening in Portwood City, that's exactly what happened. My wife, Clara Hensley, had been coming home late for the past 3 weeks. At first, I brushed it off. End of quarter reports, new hires, corporate audits. She worked in compliance at a mid-sized tech company, and those people always seemed to be drowning in paperwork. But that night, when I heard the soft buzz of my phone on the kitchen counter, something in the back of my mind told me the message wasn't going to feel right. Running late again. Mandatory conference. Don't wait up. That was it. No emojis, no love you, no explanation, just sterile. Clara never texted like that. Ever. I stared at the screen for a solid minute, trying to shake the strange chill crawling down my spine. The kitchen light flickered slightly above me, and for a second I wondered if this was how people felt right before they discovered something that would break them. For the past 3 weeks, Clara had been different. Colder, more distant, always tired, always distracted. She guarded her phone like it was an organ she couldn't survive without. She showered immediately upon coming home, even if she supposedly spent the whole day sitting in an office. And the worst part? She kept mentioning the same name. Jake. Jake from accounts. Jake handled the reports. Jake said the new software is confusing. Jake thinks the budgeting cycle will be insane this quarter. Always Jake. I had met him once, tall, athletic, charming, exactly the type of guy women turned their heads for. The kind of guy who always smirked like he kept a list of married women he was planning to accidentally flirt with. And now my wife was coming home late, again. I typed a short reply, masking my curiosity with casual annoyance. Tell Jake I said hi. I hit send. I expected silence, maybe irritation. But she replied instantly. Too instantly. What? Why would you say that? The speed of the message hit me harder than the words. She was nervous. I could feel it through the screen. Another buzz. Then the phone rang. Clara never called during mandatory conferences. I answered. Daniel? What was that supposed to mean? She demanded, her voice tight and trembling slightly. I leaned on the counter, keeping my tone calm. Nothing. You keep mentioning him. I just figured he's with you at this conference. Silence. But not the comfortable kind. The kind where you can practically hear gears turning in someone's head. No, she said quickly. Too quickly. Jake isn't here. It's just a compliance training session. New regulation stuff. You wouldn't understand. Look, I have to go. We're about to start. The call ended before I could respond. And just like that, my stomach dropped. Something was wrong. Very wrong. I stared out the kitchen window at the empty street, lit only by a flickering street lamp. I could feel my pulse in my throat. The feeling I had been ignoring for weeks, suspicion, dread, instinct, whatever you want to call it, was finally awake, screaming at me to stop pretending everything was fine. I opened the tracking app connected to her phone. Clara didn't know I still had access, but she had never given me a reason to check. Until now. A small blue dot blinked onto the map. She wasn't at her office. She wasn't even near it. She was across town, at a place called Bella Vista, a restaurant. Not just any restaurant. A romantic Italian place with dim lights, private booths, and live violin on weekends. My throat tightened. I zoomed in. The dot stayed, unmoving. She was inside, and she had lied. Again. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. It felt like someone had poured ice water through my veins. My wife wasn't at a conference. She was at Bella Vista. With someone. With him. I didn't need proof. I didn't need photos. My gut had already made the connection. Clara was cheating on me. I sank into a chair, the world suddenly muffled, like everything was happening underwater. I stared at the phone for a long time, the map glowing in the dim kitchen. 3 weeks of late nights, 3 weeks of coldness, 3 weeks of guarded phones and lies. It made sense, in the most devastating way possible. Hours later, long after Bella Vista had closed, I heard her keys in the door. Clara stepped inside, cheeks flushed, hair slightly messy, smelling faintly of garlic and oregano. "Conference got canceled," she said casually, dropping her bag on the floor. There was a small splash of tomato sauce on her blouse. She didn't even notice. But I did. I noticed everything now. She pulled out her phone immediately, checking it, then silencing 2 notifications before I could see. Her eyes darted around the room, her shoulders stiff. She was lying, and she knew I knew. But neither of us said anything, not yet. Inside, something in me cracked, but another part of me awakened. If Clara thought she could play me for a fool, she had no idea what was coming. The moment Clara walked in that night, I knew things had changed. She tried to act normal. Soft voice, calm steps, casual shrug, as if nothing had happened. But small details betrayed her. A faint scent of garlic bread, a tiny wine stain near her collarbone, and the way her phone slipped into her purse the instant she saw me watching. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. I had already opened the map on my phone the minute she texted that she was home. The blue dot still lingered. Bella Vista. She had come back from the romantic restaurant just now. I poured myself a glass of water, then casually asked, "Clara, what time did this so-called conference end?" Her eyes flicked, face stiffened. She didn't answer at first. Then softly, without meeting my eyes. "Late. They had to go over extra slides. You know how compliance trainings drag on sometimes." I nodded. "Strange. I tried calling. No answer. No emails. Nothing on your work portal about overtime." She shifted. "There was an emergency. They said we needed to stay. Then they cleared us to go." I didn't respond. I just watched. I waited until she went to the bedroom and locked the door behind her. Then I picked up the tablet, the one we used for streaming shows, always forgotten on the coffee table. I didn't need fancy software to dig a little. The map screenshot from that night had already been saved by autosync. I zoomed in and checked timestamps. Bella Vista, 7:45 p.m. to 10:12 p.m. Her conference ended at 10 p.m. Those numbers, I didn't even have to alter them. They didn't match. At that moment, I felt something inside me harden. The small, hopeful part that wanted to believe yesterday's lies collapsed. I began planning what I needed to do next. Saturday afternoon, I took a detour. Convenience store, small jewelry shop, thrift boutique. My goal was simple. See if I could stumble upon anything she might have left behind. But also to reset myself. To act casual, like I was out of boredom, not suspicion. Back home, I glanced at Clara's coat hung by the door, open pockets, empty coffee mug on the counter, and, leaning underneath the sofa, I found it. A small silver bracelet engraved, "Forever yours, Jay." I picked it up slowly, cold metal heavy in my palm. I held it inside the box it came in and snapped a photo with my phone. Why keep a cheap bracelet from some meaningless fling in the same coat you wear to our home? Because for her it was a secret. For me, it would become evidence. That night, I pretended ignorance. When she asked if I'd seen the coat on the floor, I said nothing. The look on her face, a flicker of fear, quickly hidden, felt like the first true crack in the mask. Sunday, while Emma was at grocery shopping, I took her laptop, the one she forgot on the dining table. I opened the messaging app. She had the habit of closing it quickly when I entered a room. Tonight, it was unlocked. The chat with Jake A. was full of seemingly innocent banter about the project deadlines, but earlier messages, hidden inside a subfolder, were different. Can't stop thinking about last night. Your touch, it stays with me even now. See you Friday? My fingers shook as I scrolled. Defense messages, replies laced with guilt, promises of discretion, words like miss you, need you, soon. I didn't copy them all at once. I meticulously took screenshots, saved them in a hidden folder, then encrypted them and backed them up to the cloud. Later, when I cleared browsing history and closed the laptop, the empty screen was as benign as any other evening. I didn't look back at her when she walked in. Not yet. I just exhaled. I had proof. Evidence. Truth. Monday morning, on my way to work, I passed Bella Vista. I sat in my car across the street and watched. About 30 minutes later, a dark sedan pulled up. A man stepped out, tall, broad shoulders, hair clipped, and stood at the hostess stand, talking quietly. I didn't see Clara, but that was fine. I had what I came for. Confirmation that Jake was present at a place and time clearly misrepresented to me. Later, I searched social media. Jake Anderson, accounting clerk, mid-30s, divorced, pictures at expensive restaurants, flashy lifestyle, a man with many friends, but no apparent long-term relationships. Her type, I realized bitterly. I printed out a headshot, opened a search for his address in the city records, thankfully legal where we were, and found a small apartment building in the East District. I didn't go there, yet. But I kept everything bookmarked. That night, Emma sat in the living room, watching an old movie. I walked over and gently placed the bracelet on the coffee table. I didn't speak. I didn't accuse. I just showed. Her face blanched white. "Where did you get that?" she whispered. I pulled out my phone. Saw it lying in the coat pocket under the sofa. "Do you remember that jacket?" She swallowed. "My friend gave it to me." "Her name's not Myra, is it?" I asked quietly. "No," she said sharply, but her voice cracked. "I think you meant Jake, or Jay." A single bead of sweat rolled down her temple. She turned her head away. Silence. Then soft, trembling. You're acting crazy." I nodded. Maybe. Or maybe I finally stopped being blind. She jumped up, rushed to the coat, tried to grab it. "Don't touch it," I said coldly. Her hand froze. She looked at me like I was a stranger. "I'm leaving," she said, voice small. "Do what you want." She fled to the bedroom, door slamming behind her, and I realized this wasn't going to be fixed with words anymore. Tuesday morning, I called a divorce lawyer, not right away, but I told him I might need his services soon. I asked discreet questions about evidence, about proof of adultery, about joint property and bank accounts. I didn't commit. I just asked. Meanwhile, I arranged surveillance on the apartment complex where Jake lived. I had a friend who owed me one. He agreed to watch, not because he knew the story, just because he needed the money. I changed passwords to all joint accounts. I archived shared digital storage. I quietly moved personal documents to a safe box: birth certificate, passport, insurance papers. I didn't panic. I prepared. Clara noticed the change in my behavior. That night she tried to talk. I told her I was tired. I left the room. She didn't follow. By the end of Block 2, our home was a fragile cage of silence and hidden truths. The dishes remained dirty, trash bins full, the bracelet and screenshots and notes hidden away in a locked drawer, and me, calm, measured, watching. She spent long hours on the phone, always whispering. She wore the same coat more often. She avoided eye contact. She checked behind windows as if expecting someone. And every time she saw me, she flinched. Because she knew I had spoken the name. And once the name was spoken, nothing could stay hidden forever. Wednesday evening settled over our house like a storm cloud, heavy, silent, waiting to burst. Clara moved through the rooms without her usual humming, without her casual touches on my shoulder, without the soft questions about my day. She drifted like a ghost. And yet, she watched me. Constantly. I could feel her eyes on my back, on my hands, on my phone. She knew something was coming. She just didn't know what. After work, I parked my car 2 blocks away and walked home just to see if she was anywhere suspicious nearby. She wasn't. But someone else's car sat in the alley. A black sedan, tinted windows, engine off. The same model Jake drove. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I walked past the car slowly, pretending to tie my shoe. A silhouette inside shifted. Someone ducked. My jaw tightened. He wasn't even trying to hide himself well. He thought I wouldn't look. Thought I wouldn't suspect. He thought I was a fool. I kept moving, entered the house, and locked the door behind me. A few minutes later, Clara's phone buzzed. She practically sprinted toward it. When she saw me standing at the kitchen counter, she froze mid-step. Her fingers hovered over the screen. Then, "Oh, it's just work," she said. She turned her back, shielding the message like a teenager caught texting at midnight. I almost laughed. Instead, I quietly slid open the drawer and placed the bracelet inside again, loud enough that she heard the metal clink. She stiffened as if struck. I spent the next morning gathering everything I needed. Screenshots of her messages, time-stamped photos of the bracelet, GPS logs, a printed map showing Bella Vista, a statement from the restaurant host confirming a couple in the corner booth the night of the conference. Then during lunch, I drove to her office building. Not inside, just the parking lot. I waited, watched, noted who entered, who left, which cars belonged to whom. And at exactly 2:17 p.m., I saw his car pull in. Jake, gray button-down, laughing into his phone. 5 minutes later, my friend texted me. They met earlier today at his place, 11:35 a.m. She stayed until 1:02. Perfect. Everything fit. Everything was ready. That night she walked in later than usual, hair messy, shirt half-tucked, breath slightly off. She stopped when she saw me sitting at the dining table with a folder in front of me. "What's that?" she whispered. I opened it slowly, page by page, not showing her yet, just letting the tension thicken the room like smoke. "You were at work today, right?" I asked gently. She swallowed. "Of course," I smiled. "And yesterday too?" She blinked quickly. "Yes? And the day before?" "Yes." "And Friday?" "Yeah." "Yes, why?" I leaned back. "Clara, your office building has a parking lot. A very open one, you understand?" She paled. "I don't know what you're implying." "Oh, I think you do." I tapped the folder. She flinched. Her last line of defense arrived fast. Panic, desperation, scrambling excuses. I wasn't at work today because I had a therapy appointment." I've been struggling, and I didn't know how to tell you. Your therapist lives on the second floor of an apartment complex on Maple Street? I asked. She froze. Real fear flashed in her eyes. How do you? I follow you. When things don't add up, I follow the truth. Her throat tightened as she whispered. You followed me? Just once. I lied. In truth, I had tracked her for days. She trembled. A single tear fell. It's not what you think, she whispered. It never is at first, I replied. I reached into the drawer and placed the bracelet between us. The engraved letters glinted under the lamp. Her breath hitched. Her lips parted. Her knees nearly buckled. You're misinterpreting, she whispered. I held up my phone. The screen displayed a text message. You free Friday, beautiful? Can't stop thinking about last night. Her face drained of color. Another one. Forever yours, Jay. Then, don't wait up tonight. She covered her mouth. Her shoulders shook. It's not say it, I said calmly. Say his name. Her entire body tensed. Her eyes shut tight. Jake. The word was barely audible. A dying thing. I didn't yell, didn't curse, didn't throw anything. I simply said, I know. She sank into the chair as if gravity had doubled. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean for this to happen. It was just attention. He made me feel something. I thought I needed it. I thought you were distant. I thought you thought I wouldn't find out. Her silence was the answer. In that moment, she realized something terrifying. I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't lost. I was done. Every excuse she prepared, every lie she rehearsed, every manipulation she tried to twist, they all crumbled. Because now she knew I had evidence. I had truth. I had clarity. And I was no longer trying to save the marriage. Are you leaving me? She whispered. Not yet, I said. But soon. Her breath trembled. She stood, shaking, reaching for me like a drowning person reaching for air. Please, Noah. Please don't do this. I stepped back. And for the first time in 3 weeks, she felt fear. Real, genuine fear. Fear of losing everything she treated as unbreakable. Fear of the consequences she never thought would come. Fear of a husband who no longer loved her, not because of betrayal, but because of the cold, hard truth. She was never worth the trust she broke. The next morning began with silence so thick it felt like a third presence in the house. Clara moved carefully, softly, as if any sudden sound might set me off. But I wasn't angry, not outwardly. And that terrified her more than yelling ever could. She brewed coffee for herself only. She didn't make mine. She didn't know whether she still had the right. I sat at the dining table reading emails, pretending not to notice her trembling hands as she sat across from me. Every few seconds she stared at me, waiting for questions, accusations, demands, but I offered none. And that silence eroded her confidence faster than any confrontation. Can we talk? She asked finally, voice thin as paper. We've been talking, I said calmly. You just weren't honest. She flinched hard. Clara's shoulders curled forward as she whispered, I told you everything last night. No, I said. You told me what I already knew. The distinction broke something in her. Her composure shattered. The first crack of many. Around lunchtime, her phone buzzed again. This time, she snatched it so quickly, she nearly knocked over her drink. Who's that? I asked. No one. It's just a reminder. A reminder named Jake? Her face twisted. Guilt, fear, shame, all in one violent collision. You said you'd stop, she whispered. and you said you were at therapy." Her eyes filled again. She was unraveling. 2 days later, Friday, I set the final phase in motion. In the morning, I approached her with a warm smile, as if the last week had been nothing more than a minor misunderstanding. "How about we get away for the weekend?" I asked. "The coast. Just us?" Her eyes widened. Shock, hope, relief, all blooming at once. "You want to go somewhere? With me?" "Yes, we could use a break. A fresh start." She said yes instantly. Too quickly. Hope was a powerful drug, and she was overdosing. As we packed the car, I casually said, "We'll stop by your office on the way out. You forgot some paperwork there, right?" Her entire face froze. What? No, I don't need anything. Come on, it'll take 2 minutes." She swallowed hard, pushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. It's closed. The building's locked on weekends." "Really?" I said, pretending confusion. "I thought some of your team works Fridays, and the security guard is always there." Her hand trembled. "We shouldn't go," she whispered. "We're going," I said gently. "It's on the way anyway." She didn't argue after that. She couldn't. She was trapped. She sat stiffly in the passenger seat, fingers clutching the seatbelt, as though bracing for impact. "Why are you quiet?" I asked with a smile. "No reason." "Thinking about Jake?" Her breath hitched. She didn't answer. The parking lot appeared like a stage awaiting the final act. Nearly empty, just a few cars belonging to weekend staff. And right near the back, a familiar black sedan. Jake's. Clara went white. As we approached the entrance, the security guard, a man named Thomas, lifted his head. "Oh, hey, Clara. Haven't seen you since Tuesday. Switching back to a 5-day schedule again?" Clara froze. Her lips twitched. Her eyes darted to me. Yeah, something like that." I turned slowly to her. "Tuesday?" I repeated quietly. "Didn't you tell me you worked all day Wednesday and Thursday too?" Her pulse visibly throbbed in her neck. Thomas added casually, "Your new 4-day schedule seemed to be working well." 4-day schedule. Meaning, she had 3-day weekends. 3-day weekends she never spent at home. Clara looked sick. "I think we should go," she whispered. "Oh, we're not going anywhere," I said softly. "Not until you explain where you were yesterday." "And the day before?" Her knees wobbled. She grabbed the wall for balance. Thomas sensed something was wrong and stepped back inside, giving us privacy. Her voice was almost inaudible. "I wasn't at therapy. Obviously. I wasn't at work. I know. And I wasn't alone." Silence. The final confession hovered between us like poison gas. I waited. I didn't ask. I let her choose honesty for once. She broke. "It was Jake," she whispered. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." The last piece slid into place. The picture was complete. Her affair wasn't a mistake, wasn't a lapse, wasn't a moment of weakness. It was a routine, a lifestyle, a second life. And my wife, the woman I trusted, had never stopped living it. I stepped back from her. "Get in the car," I said. "Are we still going to the coast?" she asked, voice trembling. "To the coast? No." "Then, where?" "Home," I said. "So you can pack." Her breath died in her throat. "Pack what?" "Everything," I said calmly. "You're moving out." Her eyes widened in horror. No, Noah, please." But I was already walking back to the car, and for the first time she didn't follow by choice. She followed because she finally understood. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't a threat. This wasn't anger. This was final. This was the consequence. This was the price of betrayal. The drive home was the quietest, in my life. Clara sat turned toward the window, shoulders shaking, but she didn't make a sound. Not a sob, not a whisper. Nothing. She looked like a child caught stealing, like someone who suddenly realized the gravity of her choices far too late. I didn't speak. I didn't comfort her. I didn't ask questions. My silence was her punishment, and she felt every second of it. When we pulled into the driveway, she didn't move, not even when I opened my door and stepped out. I waited. 5 seconds. 10. 20. Finally, she opened the door and followed me inside. Her steps were slow, uneven, like walking through mud. I went straight to the bedroom closet, pulled down the gray suitcase, the one she always used for girls' weekends, and placed it on the bed. Clara froze in the doorway. "Noah, please don't do this," she whispered. "You already did this," I said. I said I'm sorry. "You said sorry because you got caught." She flinched as if struck. "I didn't mean for it to go that far." "Clara," I said, cutting her off. "I don't care about your intentions anymore. I care about your actions." I pointed at the suitcase. "Pack." She didn't move. "Noah, don't throw me out. Please, let me explain. Let me try to fix this." "You had 3 weeks of fixing," I said. "You used them to sleep with someone else." Now the tears came, finally, falling fast, messy, uncontrolled. "This isn't fair," she sobbed. "Fair?" I laughed. "Fair left the house the moment you walked into Jake's apartment." I opened her drawer and pulled out the small black velvet box I had seen earlier in the week. The bracelet. Silver. With the engraving inside, "Always yours, Jay." Clara's face drained of all color. "You saw it?" she whispered. "Found it. Photographed it. And considered pawning it. But then I realized it'll make excellent evidence in court." I didn't ask for it," she stammered. "This isn't about a gift," I said sharply. "This is about the fact that you hid it, like a trophy." She covered her face with her hands. No, I wasn't thinking." "You were thinking," I said. "Just not about me." I walked over to my desk, unlocked my laptop, and rotated it toward her. Her messages to Jake were still on the screen. The romantic ones, the flirtatious ones, the ones about missing him, the ones about feeling alive again, the ones about Noah being boring and predictable. Clara collapsed onto her knees. "No, please turn it off. Please, I can't look at that." "You wrote it," I said, coldly. "Not me." She pressed her palms to the floor, her entire body trembling. "Noah, I didn't mean any of it." "You meant enough of it to ruin our marriage." She crawled toward me, literally crawled, reaching for my hand. I stepped back. She froze, hand suspended in the air. "Noah, I'm begging you, don't leave me. Don't make me go. I'll end everything with him. I'll block him. I'll do anything." "Did you say those words to him?" I asked. "I'll do anything?" Her face twisted with agony. "No, please, stop." "But it's what you wrote," I said. "And you meant it enough to see him on your off days." She sobbed harder, clutching her chest like she couldn't breathe. "Clara," I said quietly, "do you know how I knew everything started 3 weeks ago?" She looked up at me slowly. Horror filled her eyes. "You tracked me." "Yes, after you lied the second time." She let out a broken whimper. Why would you do that?" "Because I still hoped I was wrong," I said. "But you made sure I wasn't." I sat on the edge of the bed, completely calm. "You're moving out today," I said. She shook her head violently. "No, I have no one else. I have nowhere to go. You have Jake." She looked like I stabbed her. He won't want..." She stopped mid-sentence because she finally realized Jake never wanted her life. He wanted her in his life, not as his life. And now, he definitely didn't want the mess. Her panic doubled. "No, please, Noah, I love you. I made a mistake." "Clara," I said quietly, "you made dozens of mistakes. Repeatedly, deliberately, enthusiastically." She covered her mouth with both hands and sobbed into her palms. "Stop crying," I said softly. She looked at me in shock. Why?" "Because crying is for people who lost something they valued." Her hands dropped from her face. "You didn't value this marriage. You valued the attention he gave you." "No," she whispered. "I value you. I love you. You loved the stability I gave you, the safety, the routine, but not me." She slid down the wall, curling into herself like a broken thing. "Noah, please, don't say that." "It's true," I said, "and you know it." I pointed again at the suitcase. "Pack, Clara. I won't say it again." Her tears fell onto the floorboards as she reached for the suitcase with trembling hands. She finally understood. This wasn't a fight. This wasn't a threat. This wasn't anger. This was the moment her second life ended, and the first one fell apart forever. Packing wasn't simple for her. Every shirt she folded shook in her hands. Every drawer she opened felt like ripping a stitch. Every silent minute reminded her that this was real. Not a threat, not a scare tactic, not a warning, a consequence. I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, watching her struggle with the life she had taken for granted. "Noah," she whispered after a few minutes, "please talk to me." "I am talking," I replied. "You just don't like what I'm saying." She closed her eyes tightly. "You hate me." "No," I said. "I don't waste emotions on people who treat me like an option." She nearly collapsed again, catching herself on the dresser. She zipped the suitcase halfway, then stopped. "Noah, can I ask you something?" I didn't answer. She took silence as permission. When did you stop loving me?" I stared at her. "That's the wrong question." She blinked, confused. "You should be asking when you stopped loving me." Her face crumpled. "That's not true. I never stopped." "Clara," I said calmly, "you loved the attention he gave you more than the loyalty I gave you." Her breath hitched. "That's not... It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that." She sank onto the bed. "I didn't want to fall for him," she whispered. "I swear I didn't." "But you did." She nodded, tears dripping onto her trembling hands. "And you didn't stop it." She shook her head. "No, I didn't." "Why him?" I asked. The question startled her because she knew the answer but hated it. "I don't know. Yes, you do." She inhaled sharply. He made me feel noticed." There it was. Not poetic, not romantic, not tragic, just pathetic. "You wanted validation," I said. She nodded, burying her face in her palms. "I lost myself. I felt invisible. You were working more. I felt alone, and he filled the space you created," I said. She froze. "I didn't create it. You did. By lying. By hiding. By choosing him every time you said you were working late." She broke again, shoulders shaking violently. "He didn't mean anything at first," she whispered. "It was stupid jokes. Compliments. Coffees. I thought it was harmless. And then?" Her chin trembled. "I started wanting to look good for him." I clenched my jaw. She noticed. "Noah, I'm sorry. Keep going," I said. She swallowed hard. Then we started texting. Personal things. And I didn't stop it. I told myself it was just fun, just attention, Nothing physical. But it became physical. She nodded slowly. The smallest nod. The most destructive nod I'd ever seen. Yes. Which night? I asked. She shut her eyes, ashamed. The first was 3 Fridays ago. The day you said you had a migraine, I said. She whimpered. Yes. And the restaurant? Bella Vista. She covered her face again. That was our first dinner alone. And the kiss? Her shoulders stiffened. She didn't answer. Tell me. She shook her head. Tell me. Not there, she whispered. It was afterwards, in his car. I nodded, because I already knew. And after that? She hesitated, just long enough to confirm everything. She whispered, his apartment. She kept talking, maybe because she felt she owed me the truth, maybe because confession was the only thing left she could offer. I didn't plan to go inside, she whispered. I kept telling myself it was just dinner. But then he touched my hand and I didn't pull away. And he kissed me again, and I didn't say no. And you didn't stop it after that, I added. She nodded. No, I didn't. She wiped her cheeks with shaking fingers. I knew it was wrong, I knew I was destroying us, but I felt alive, and I didn't know how to stop. You stopped by not starting, I said. People don't trip and fall into infidelity. They walk there in small steps. She covered her mouth. I hate myself. Good, I said, because now you know how I feel. She looked up at me, eyes red and raw. Do you think you could ever forgive me? No. She flinched so violently the suitcase shifted on the bed. That fast, she whispered. That's certain. She pressed her knuckles to her lips, trying not to sob. Then why did you want me to confess? So you'd finally understand what you threw away. I walked to the closet, pulled out her second suitcase, and placed it beside the first. She stared at it like it was a gravestone. Noah, please, don't do this. You don't live here anymore, Clara. She shook her head frantically. This is our home. It stopped being ours the moment you took your clothes off in his. Her breath left her in a single, choking gasp. She buried her face in her hands, sobbing, body folding inward like she was collapsing into herself. But I didn't touch her, didn't kneel beside her, didn't feel sympathy. Consequences weren't cruel. They were simply overdue. Finish packing, I said, turning away. You have 30 minutes. Noah! I didn't stop. I didn't turn around. I left the room, her broken cries echoing behind me like the last dying sounds of a marriage that had already ended weeks ago. She finished packing slowly, like every folded shirt was a piece of her identity she was losing. When she finally zipped the last suitcase, she stood still, staring at it like she didn't know how to move. I came back into the room. Time's up, I said. She wiped her face with her sleeve. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. Noah, where do I even go? That's not my problem anymore. She flinched, whispering, Can I stay with my parents tonight? That's between you and them. She hesitated. What if they ask what happened? Tell them the truth, I replied. Or lie. Lying seems to be your specialty. Her knees buckled slightly, but she forced herself to stand. I grabbed her suitcase, rolled it to the front door, and set it down. She followed slowly, clutching the second bag, like a child holding a teddy bear at her own funeral. When we reached the doorway, she turned to me one last time. Noah, please. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but can't we at least talk when things calm down? No. But how many chances do you think you get after you share a bed with another man? She broke again, tears pouring silently. I'm sorry. I know,
I said. "But sorry doesn't unbreak anything." I opened the door. "Goodbye, Clara." She stood there for several seconds, as if waiting for me to stop her, to say she could stay, to give her one more chance. I didn't. Eventually, with her face crumpled and mascara smeared down her cheeks, she stepped outside. I closed the door behind her. The lock clicked. And for the first time in months, the house felt clean. I waited until I knew she was gone from the driveway. Then I picked up my phone. I scrolled to his name, Jake Whitmore, the man who thought he could silently replace me, the man who thought he could steal a wife and get away with it, the man who believed loyalty was optional as long as the attention was good. I hit call. It rang twice. He sounded relaxed, confident, like someone who didn't fear consequences. "Yeah, hello?" "Jake," I said, calmly. Silence. Utter silence. "Who is this?" "You know exactly who this is." A breath. Sharp. Uneasy. "Noah. Look. Man, this isn't—" "Don't call me man. We're not friends." I wasn't trying to start anything. You already did." He exhaled shakily. "Listen, I didn't mean for things to go so far. It just happened." I laughed quietly. "No, you don't just happen into another man's marriage." He swallowed audibly. "Look, Clara told me you two were basically done." "Of course she did." He stayed silent. "That's what cheaters do, Jake. They rewrite the story so they can stomach what they're doing." "Noah, I know this is bad, but she's going through a lot. I was trying to be there for her." "Do you want to be there for her now?" I asked. He hesitated. "What do you mean?" "She's single. All yours." He inhaled sharply. No, she came on too strong. I didn't want something serious. And yet you had no problem taking her to your apartment." Silence. Heavy. Loaded. Cowardly. "I don't want a relationship with her," he whispered. "Good," I replied, "because you won't be getting one." He tried to salvage his dignity. "Look, I know you're mad, but I'm not a bad guy. You're a grown man who knowingly slept with another man's wife." He exhaled nervously. "Yeah, I messed up." "Messed up?" I repeated. "No, Jake, a mess-up is forgetting an anniversary. What you did is sabotage, deception, character rot." He didn't respond. I continued. "And for your peace of mind, this isn't a revenge call." He hesitated. "No?" "No," I said. "I'm calling because she thinks you'll take her in." "What?" "She's on her way somewhere. She's crying. She's shattered. And she genuinely believes you're going to be her rescue." "Oh my God," he muttered. "She ruined our marriage for a fantasy. So I'm giving you the heads up." I can't see her," he blurted out. "Exactly." Silence. Then, "Noah, what do I do if she shows up here?" "You figure it out," I said. "The same way I had to figure out what to do when I learned about you." "You're not going to—" "I'm not touching you, Jake. You're not worth catching a charge over." He exhaled in relief. "But I'm also not protecting you." "I never asked—" "You asked the moment you slept with her." He didn't have an answer. I ended the call. He didn't call back. I watched through the front window as she sat in her car, unmoving. She looked like someone who just lost everything, because she had. Eventually the engine turned over. She backed out slowly. Her taillights disappeared down the street. I felt nothing. No rage, no sorrow, no jealousy, just clarity and peace. Because finally the cancer was cut out cleanly. And whatever happened to her next, it would have nothing to do with me. The house was finally quiet. Not the tense, suffocating silence we had lived in for months. This was clean, a kind of silence that felt like opening a window after a storm. I sat down at the kitchen counter, opened my laptop, and pulled up the number my attorney had texted earlier. Daniel Mercer, family law specialist. Highly recommended. No patience for cheaters. Good. Just the kind of man I needed. I dialed. He picked up after the first ring. Mr. Hale? His voice was calm, steady. Yes, thanks for making time. I understand you have evidence of marital misconduct. I leaned back. I have text messages, GPS data, screenshots, a restaurant confirmation, and they spent time together at his apartment. I also have her admitting it verbally. A pause. Clear-cut case, he said. What outcome are you seeking? I want the fastest, cleanest divorce possible. No shared property division, no alimony, no financial ties, no claims. Understood, he replied. You own the house outright? Yes. Bought before the marriage. Never added her to the deed. And joint accounts? I closed access this morning. Excellent. His efficiency was almost comforting. With your evidence, he continued, this is open and shut. She won't be entitled to financial support. Good. She may try to push for mediation, he added. Don't agree. With adultery documented, you hold all leverage. That's why I called. He paused, then, in a calmer tone, Noah, you're doing the right thing. Don't let guilt cloud this. I'm not guilty, I said. For the first time in months, I'm clear. Then come Monday at 10 a.m., we'll finalize filings. I ended the call. An hour later, my phone buzzed. A notification from my bank. Joint debit card deactivated. Joint credit account suspended. That was the last rope connecting us financially. I opened my budgeting app and adjusted everything. Rent? Covered. Utilities? Covered. Groceries? Covered. My subscriptions? Covered. Her subscriptions? All canceled. Her auto-pay bills? Disabled. Her credit card? Shut down. Health insurance? She'd need her own. By the time I closed the app, the line between our lives was a razor cut. Straight, clean, irreversible. I felt nothing but relief. 2 hours later, I got a text from her number. Hey, my card isn't working. Did the bank mess up? I didn't reply. 5 minutes later. Noah, the gas pump declined my card. Can you try checking what's wrong? Then, please respond, I'm stuck. I let the messages sit unread. She wanted independence. She insisted she wasn't my responsibility. Then she could live it. 10 minutes passed. Her last message came through. Did you shut off the accounts? I typed a response. Slowly. Deliberately. Yes, you're financially independent now. You said you wanted that. Message read. The typing bubbles appeared, then disappeared. Appeared again, then disappeared. She never sent anything. At 6:43 p.m., the front door shook from frantic knocking. I didn't open. Noah, please open the door. Her voice cracked, ragged, exhausted. Noah, I can't get gas. I can't pay for anything. My mom's not answering. Please open the door. I kept typing an email to my attorney, calmly adding another piece of information he requested. Noah, please. Her panic escalated. The desperation in her voice sounded like someone drowning while begging the water to stop being water. Eventually, her knocking slowed. Her sobbing didn't. Then it stopped altogether. A moment later, I heard the slow crunch of her footsteps as she walked back to her car. The engine sputtered, barely any gas left. She pulled away. Her taillights flickered like a dying heartbeat. I closed my laptop and exhaled. My phone buzzed again, this time from Daniel. Just received the documents you uploaded. Everything is in order. We'll have papers ready by Monday. I replied, Perfect. Thank you. Then I leaned back in my chair and looked around the house. It felt bigger, brighter, lighter. The weight that used to sit on my chest, gone. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I realized something profound. I wasn't losing a wife. I was losing a liability. By Sunday morning, the house felt like a hotel lobby, quiet, neutral, impersonal. A place between chapters. I brewed coffee, sat down with my laptop, and started going through the last batch of screenshots for my attorney. At 9:12 a.m., there was a knock on the door. Not frantic like hers, steady, rhythmic, polite. I opened it. Her parents stood on the porch. Her father, Robert, looked tired in a way I'd never seen before. Her mother, Helen, clutched her purse like it was the only thing keeping her balanced. "Noah," she whispered. "May we come in?" I stepped aside. They entered slowly, like people walking into a hospital room to identify a body. Helen sat at the dining table, folding and unfolding a napkin. "Noah," she said softly. "She called us last night. She was crying so hard. She said you locked her out of your accounts and kicked her out emotionally." Her father added, "She said you're refusing to speak to her." I inhaled through my nose. "She cheated," I said simply. The room froze. Her mother blinked 3 times. Her father swallowed hard. "Come again?" he asked. "She's been seeing a co-worker, Jake, for over a month. Probably longer." Their faces drained of color. I continued. "I have proof. Text messages, GPS, photos, restaurant confirmations, her own admission." Her mother covered her mouth with her hand. "Oh God. Oh God." Her father closed his eyes as if someone had struck him. Helen whispered, "Noah, she told us she was overwhelmed at work. She said you were distant. She never mentioned another man." I shrugged. "She lied to all of us." Her father lifted his gaze, eyes suddenly sharp. "Does she still work there?" "No," I said. "She dropped to 4 days a week, so she could see him on Fridays." Her mother gasped. "Oh my! Was that why she always said she had long project days?" "Yes." Helen's hands trembled violently. She swore she was just tired. She swore she would never. Her father stood abruptly, pacing the room, running both hands through his thinning gray hair. "We raised her better," he said through clenched teeth. "I don't know what the hell she's turned into." He sounded less angry than defeated. Her mother wiped her eyes. "Noah, she said you froze the accounts. Is that true?" "Yes." "Why?" her father asked. "She wanted independence," I said calmly. "So I gave it to her." Helen shook her head, overwhelmed. "Where is she now?" "I don't know," I said. "She left after realizing her cards were canceled." Her father rubbed his temples. "Jesus, she's reckless when she panics." Helen reached for my hand across the table. "Noah, we're so sorry." I nodded. "This isn't your fault." Her father sat down again, exhausted. "Noah, what are you planning to do?" "Divorce," I said plainly. "Papers will be ready Monday." Neither of them protested. Her father exhaled slowly. "I can't blame you." Her mother whispered, "She ruined this marriage. She ruined herself. You were good to her. You didn't deserve this." I didn't reply. Instead, I walked to the printer, pulled out the stack of printed evidence, and slid it across the table. Her parents looked through it for nearly 10 minutes. Helen sobbed silently. Robert's jaw tightened with every new message he read. When they finished, Robert placed the papers down carefully. "We'll talk to her," he said. "Tell her," I replied, "that my decision is final." Her mother whispered, she's going to break. Then she'll finally feel, I said coldly, what she put me through. As they stood to leave, Helen hugged me. "I'm sorry," she said again, tears staining my shirt. "I don't know who she is anymore." Robert shook my hand firmly. "You deserved loyalty," he said. "She gave you betrayal. Don't look back." Then they left. The door closed behind them with a gentle click, but the sound hit like a gunshot. Because that was the moment I realized. Her own parents were on my side, not hers. Her lies had finally run out of places to hide. Her parents had been gone for about an hour when my phone buzzed. Not with her name, with her mother's. "Helen. She's in hysterics. She's begging us to talk to you. What should we tell her?" I typed one sentence. "Tell her there's nothing left to discuss." And then I silenced my phone. For the first time in weeks, my house felt peaceful. The noise, the lies, the fake excuses, all gone. I made lunch, watched a documentary, cleaned my office. A normal Saturday, finally. But by late afternoon, trouble started again. She was unraveling fast. Her texts came in waves. "Noah, please pick up. We need to talk. Why are you doing this? I'm sorry, please answer me." I didn't. Around 5 p.m., someone banged on my door. Hard, fast, chaotic. I didn't need to look to know who it was. "Noah!" she cried from outside. "Please open. Please." I stayed silent, leaning against the wall beside the door. She hit the door again. "I talked to Mom and Dad. They told me everything you said. I can explain." I almost laughed. Explain what? The restaurant, the lies about work, the stolen Fridays, the bracelet, the 24-page text thread? She kept knocking for another minute. Then her voice cracked. "Noah, please. I don't have anywhere to go tonight." I closed my eyes, but I didn't open the door. She had a key. But guess what? I'd changed the locks that morning. Finally, she stopped knocking. Her steps retreated. I looked through the window. She stood on the driveway, shaking, calling someone on speakerphone. "I don't know what to do," she sobbed. "He won't even talk to me. Everything is ruined." She got into her car and drove off. I walked into the lobby of my office building and immediately saw her. She was standing near the elevators, makeup smudged, eyes red, hair unbrushed, holding a coffee cup like a peace offering. She rushed toward me. "Noah, please, can we talk?" Employees watched. Whispers. Raised eyebrows. Perfect. I kept my voice low. "What are you doing here?" "I didn't know what else to do," she stammered. "You won't answer my texts. And you think showing up at my job is appropriate. I need you to understand. Jake meant nothing. It was just attention." I held up a hand. Don't embarrass yourself further." She froze. My boss stepped out of his office across the lobby and glanced at us. I said, "You need to leave. Now." She looked around. Every employee in the lobby was staring, and panic washed over her face. "Please," she whispered. "I'm losing everything. Just tell me what you want." "I want you," I said, clearly, "to leave. That's it." She went pale. Do I still have a chance?" "No." Her lips trembled. She backed toward the exit, bumping into a chair. And then she fled the building, covering her face with her hands, running out into the parking lot like a person who had finally hit the bottom. Her mother texted me that night. She didn't go to work today. Not surprising. Then, HR called. She's been missing days. They're asking questions about her job performance. Then, she's behind on her rent for the apartment she moved into after we took her in. And finally, Noah. She's not doing well at all. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I put the phone face down. Her life was falling apart. Job slipping, finances gone, the affair partner ignoring her friends, distancing themselves. Parents disappointed marriage overall because she chose a man who treated marriage like a hobby and lies like a reflex. I didn't feel guilty. Not one bit. At 11:43 p.m., my phone buzzed with a final text from her. I miss you. I miss us. I don't know who I am without you. I deleted it. Then I turned off my phone and went to bed.
That was the moment I realized. Her consequences were finally catching up to her. And for the first time since this mess began, I didn't owe her anything. I woke up early the next morning with a strange sense of calm. Like my body finally understood. It's over. There's nothing left to save. I brewed coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and opened my laptop. My attorney had already emailed me. Documentation prepared. Need signatures. We can file today. Perfect. I scheduled the appointment for my lunch break. When I arrived, he greeted me with a stack of papers thick enough to stop a bullet. Given the evidence you've collected, he said, tapping the folder, this will be clean, fast, uncontested. She has no grounds to fight back. I nodded. No joint accounts. Her name not on the house. Screenshots, timestamps, GPS data, eyewitness confirmations, everything airtight. He slid a pen toward me. "You're ready?" he asked. I didn't hesitate. More than ready. And I signed. Just like that, the marriage was officially dying on paper. Leaving the office, I sat in my car and pulled up a number I'd saved days ago. Not hers, his, Jake, her accounting buddy, her harmless coworker, her friend. I hit call. He answered on the second ring, confused. "Hello?" "Jake," I said calmly. "It's Noah." Long silence. Then a shaky breath. "Oh, listen, man, I don't—" "Relax," I interrupted. "I'm not here to fight you. I just want clarity." Another silence. Then he admitted the truth in a single exhale. "You know, don't you? All of it." He sighed. "Look, she didn't tell me the whole story at first. I didn't know she was still married." That was a lie. The messages said otherwise. But I let him talk. When I found out, I told her it had to stop. She kept showing up, kept messaging. I didn't ask for any of that drama. I almost laughed. Cheaters always rewrite the story to make themselves the victim. "So," I said, "you're done with her?" "Absolutely. She's a mess right now. I can't deal with that." I smiled to myself. Of course. He wanted the affair, not the aftermath. "Good," I said. "I'll make sure she hears that." "Please don't involve me any further," he muttered. "Oh, don't worry," I replied. "You already involved yourself enough." I hung up. That evening her mother texted again. "Helen, she's been fired. Missed too many days. HR said there were conduct concerns. She won't tell me what that means." I knew exactly what it meant. Sneaking around at work, covering Friday absences with lies, using company time to text her affair partner, slipping out for long lunches. Her mother added, "She tried to call Jake. He won't talk to her." I leaned back on the couch. Her fantasy world, the secret romance, the exciting double life, the attention, had evaporated in less than a week. What she had left was no husband, no job, no apartment, rent overdue, no affair partner, parents losing patience, no access to my finances, no future plan. Just the ruins of choices she never thought would catch up to her. At 10:18 p.m., she texted, "Noah, I got fired today. I don't know what to do. Please talk to me. I'm falling apart." Then, "I tried calling Jake. He won't answer.
I think he blocked me. Then, I don't understand how everything went wrong so fast. I didn't reply, because I knew the truth. Nothing went wrong fast. It went wrong the moment she chose to betray her own marriage. The moment she looked me in the eyes and lied. The moment she called me from Jake's apartment pretending she was sick. The moment she told me I was controlling for asking why she was home late. Actions have consequences. She just never thought they'd arrive. At 11:47 p.m., headlights swept across my windows. I sighed. She knocked, softly at first, then urgently. "Noah, please open the door." I walked to the entryway, but didn't open it. She pressed her forehead to the wood, whispering, "I lost everything today. Everything. I don't know where to go tomorrow. I just want to talk to you. Even for a minute." Her voice cracked into a sob. "I never thought you'd actually stop loving me." I whispered, barely audible, but only to myself. "I didn't stop. You killed it." And I walked away from the door. Her cries faded after a few minutes. Then the sound of her car started. Then silence. The next morning, my attorney called. "Filed. She'll be served within 48 hours. Good. I stared at the stack of printed documents on my table. Proof. Closure. The end. Everything she took for granted was about to be legally severed. And I felt lighter, like I was finally stepping out of a storm I didn't cause. I was pouring coffee the next morning when I heard a knock on the door. Not desperate, not pleading. Firm. Professional. I opened it and found a courier holding a clipboard. "Noah Carver?" "Yes." He handed me an envelope. "Your wife has been served. Delivery to you is confirmation of notice." I signed, closed the door, exhaled slowly. It was done. The system was moving forward now, unavoidable, unstoppable, irreversible. 2 hours later, my phone started vibrating nonstop. Calls, texts, voicemails, all from her. Then came the final one before she gave up. I got the papers. We need to talk. Please." I didn't respond. Around noon, I heard knocking again. Soft, careful, almost shy. When I answered, she stood there, holding the envelope, eyes swollen, mascara smudged, hair messy as if she'd been pulling at it for hours. "Noah," she whispered. Her voice sounded hollow, like someone scraped all the confidence out of it. "We can't do this," she said. We've been together 9 years. 8, I corrected. And you weren't really with me for the last one." She flinched. She stepped inside without waiting for permission, pacing across the living room, clutching her elbows like she was freezing. "They don't know everything," she said, tears spilling again. "Jake lied to you. I wasn't serious about him. It was a mistake. A mistake," I repeated, "is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is buying the wrong coffee. You planned your lies. You scheduled your meetings with him. You hid your location. You changed your work hours. You bought a new phone case he paid for. You told your mom I was controlling. You lied to HR. You lied to me." Her knees weakened, and she sat heavily on the couch. "I didn't mean to fall in so deep," she whispered. I liked the attention. He made me feel wanted. I thought I could stop whenever I wanted. I thought..." She swallowed hard. "I thought you wouldn't find out." "And then what?" I asked quietly. "You'd keep him on the side? Keep lying? Use our home, our money to hide it?" She covered her face with her hands and sobbed. "I lost everything," she said through her fingers. "My job, my reputation. Jake won't talk to me. My mom is furious. I'm living at a motel. I have no savings, no plan. I'm scared, Noah. For the first time in my life, I'm really, truly scared. For a moment, I felt a flicker of humanity, but only a flicker. "You're not my responsibility anymore," I said gently. Her head shot up. "That's cruel." "No," I said, "it's honest. You chose independence in the worst possible way. Now you have it." She stared at me, pupils shaking. "Do you hate me?" she asked. "No," I said. "Hate takes energy. I'm done giving you any." Her lips quivered. "Please, don't go through with the divorce. We can go to therapy. We can rebuild." I shook my head. "I already rebuilt. Without you." Her breath hitched. And then she realized there was nothing left to negotiate. We met at the attorney's office 3 days later. She looked smaller somehow, as if guilt and stress shrank her frame. My attorney slid the final page toward us. Her hand trembled so badly the pen rattled against the table. "Noah," she whispered, "please don't do this. I swear I will never hurt you again." "I believe you," I replied, "because you'll never have the chance." She broke into silent sobs, shoulders shaking. Then she signed. Her signature looked like a dying heartbeat. Mine looked steady, confident, clean. The clerk stamped the documents. The sound echoed in the quiet room like a final gunshot. No property division, no alimony, no accounts shared, no custody battles, no loose ends. She walked out of the building first, gripping the railing as if the world tilted beneath her feet. I watched her go. Not with anger, not with sadness, with peace. The next 6 months moved fast. I lost 25 pounds, joined a gym, took up swimming, started cooking real food instead of stress snacking, bought new clothes that actually fit. My boss noticed the change, more energy, more clarity, more drive. I got promoted. Then I bought a new car, a new couch, new sheets, a new life. Everything felt cleaner now, sharper, more deliberate. And then came the moment I didn't expect. I was standing in line at a coffee shop when I met someone new. Not dramatic, not Hollywood, just real, grounded, warm. She laughed at my terrible joke, and her eyes sparkled in a way I hadn't seen in years. I didn't ask for her number. I didn't force anything. But as I walked away with my drink, she called out, "Hey, if you ever want to grab lunch, I'm around. No pressure." That felt good, natural, not built on lies. A month later, her mother texted, "She's in the hospital, exhaustion, anxiety. She keeps asking for you." I stared at the message for a while. Then I deleted it. I didn't hate her. I didn't love her. I was simply done living inside her choices. I blocked her number that same day. No ceremony, no speech, just a quiet, final goodbye. I learned something powerful through all of it. Honesty is not just about telling the truth. It's about protecting what matters. It's about choosing respect before desire. It's about loyalty when no one is watching. She taught me what happens when someone forgets that, and because of her, I'll never forget it again. I stood on my porch that evening watching the sun drop behind the houses. It felt like the first sunset of my actual adult life. No regret, no bitterness, no longing, just freedom. And the quiet certainty that my next chapter would be written with someone who deserved to be in it.